sometimes guarantees are phrased in terms that the guarantor also has a liability as principal obligor. For example, you may see a guarantee which includes an indemnity covenant, an obligation to pay on demand, and one which states that the surety's liability is as principal debtor and not merely as surety. There has been some case law, some of which I allude to in the accompanying notes, on whether such a clause does in fact impose a primary obligation on the guarantor. Just for our purposes, the law basically is that whether such a clause imposes a primary obligation on the guarantor is ultimately dependent on the language and the nature of the terms of the particular guarantee concerned. The next issue I'm going to focus on is the issue of whether or not a director's loan is allowed by lenders. First of all, if you have a purchaser who is buying with a mortgage who proposes to use a director's loan as a deposit, then the conveyancer should check, is this acceptable to the mortgage lender? If so, the conveyancer should make sure that they follow any requirements of the lender, such as seeking confirmation, if the lender so requires, that the money is a repayment of an existing debt owed by the company to the director. Also, the conveyancer should make sure that the client is informed that they should seek advice from their accountant as to the potential tax implications of making a director's loan. I would also add that it's best for the director to seek advice from their accountant as to whether or not the amount of the loan being used for the purchase may or may not be excessive from the accountant's perspective. I only refer here briefly to directors' loan accounts. There is a reference in my notes to an article that was updated earlier in 2023 by a lady called Victoria Mortar.